Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Alexis Bellino accuses Slade Smiley of riding Gretchen's coattails, and explains why RHOC lie detector test wasn't legit. Alexis Bellino claimed Gretchen Rossi's husband, Slade Smiley, needs to quit riding her coattails and go get a job. The Real Housewives of Orange County alum also suggested that the recent lie detector test was not legit by any measure. In a recent episode, Emily Simpson introduced the group to a surprise polygraph. Though she herself passed all the questions, Katie Janella allegedly failed all of hers. Katie has since suggested that Emily and Gina Kirchenheider set her up using hired actors. The new season marked Gretchen's return as a friend of. In one scene, Gretchen claimed that Tamra Judge's false statements about Slade have kept him from getting jobs. On Carlos King's Reality with the King podcast, Alexis addressed Slade's relationship with Gretchen. He needs to quit riding her coattails and go get a job, said Alexis, who was once Gretchen's ally and full-time castmate. I think there was even one time in the seasons I was filming with Gretchen that she called him her schlepper. He schlepped stuff. I've never heard that word before. That's why it rings a bell to me. But stop schlepping and start bartending. At one point in the podcast, Alexis addressed the polygraph. I'm not a lie detector test person, but it led me to doing some research on my own about lie detector tests, she said. It's in my blood. I went on reality, and I was supposed to be a detective. The truth behind a timeline of a lie detector test is that it lasts 1.5 to 2.5 hours for a person. So let me just do the math here, with 7 housewives and only 2 polygraphers, around 4 to 6 hours for just one phase of the legit polygraph test. That means these women would have been there pretty much all night because there's 3 phases to a polygraph test. There's phase 1, 2, and 3, she continued. So under my calculations, I don't think these tests were legit by any measure. New episodes of The Real Housewives of Orange County air Thursday nights on Bravo. When Alexis Bellino, one of the most outspoken women to ever hold an orange on The Real Housewives of Orange County, speaks her mind, fans listen. Known for her glamorous lifestyle, faith-centered values, and fiery confrontations, Alexis has always been a polarizing figure in the RHOC world. Recently, she stirred the pot yet again when she resurfaced on a podcast interview, where she candidly accused Slade Smiley of riding Gretchen Rossi's coattails during their time on the show. If that weren't enough, she also dropped a bombshell about the infamous lie detector test that played a central role in one of the franchise's most talked-about storylines. Alexis has never been one to shy away from drama, but this time, her words weren't laced with anger, they were sharpened with a kind of cool confidence that comes from years of reflection. Looking back, it's so obvious, she explained. Slade wasn't there to support Gretchen in the way a partner should have been. He was there to extend his airtime, to keep himself relevant by being attached to her storylines. He was riding Gretchen's coattails, and he didn't even try to hide it. This accusation may not shock longtime fans, who vividly remember Slade's unique trajectory through RHOC. Before Gretchen, he was romantically linked to other housewives, including Jo De La Rosa and Lori Peterson. To Alexis, this pattern was telling. Slade was always orbiting the housewives, she said. He knew how to position himself. He wasn't just Gretchen's boyfriend, he was her co-star, her +1 at every battle, every fight. That dynamic wasn't authentic partnership, it was strategy. Alexis' words reignited an old debate among fans. Was Gretchen's love story with Slade genuine, or was it built on the foundation of convenience and camera time? Alexis insists the latter. Don't get me wrong, she clarified. I think Gretchen loved him in her way. But there's no question Slade knew he was keeping his name in the press, keeping himself relevant by being tied to her. That's not partnership, that's opportunism. And just when it seemed Alexis couldn't possibly throw any more shade, she pivoted to one of the most infamous RHOC stunts, Gretchen's lie detector test. Longtime viewers remember the episode well. Gretchen, in an attempt to silence doubters about her fidelity and intentions, subjected herself to a polygraph exam. The move was bold, dramatic, and quintessentially housewives. But according to Alexis, the entire ordeal wasn't as legitimate as it appeared on television. Let me tell you, Alexis said with a laugh, that lie detector test? It wasn't legit. Not even close. Polygraphs aren't admissible in court for a reason. They're unreliable, and on top of that, the way production set it up was more about TV than truth. It was smoke and mirrors. She described how the atmosphere surrounding the test was crafted for maximum drama rather than genuine clarity. Do you really think Bravo is going to put Gretchen in some federal investigator's office with a licensed, court-recognized examiner? No. They found someone willing to play along, to make it theatrical. The goal was to get a storyline, not the truth. And I'll be honest, when I watched it, I rolled my eyes. Alexis' perspective sheds new light on a moment fans once debated endlessly. Was Gretchen's test an earnest attempt to prove her innocence or a carefully staged performance? Alexis leans heavily toward the latter. If you want to prove yourself to your partner or to the world, you don't need cameras and a polygraph. You need trust. And in Gretchen and Slade's case, trust was never the foundation. But Alexis' critiques weren't delivered with malice. If anything, her tone suggested she was less interested in tearing down Gretchen and Slade than in unpacking the way RHOC often blurred the lines between reality and performance. We were all guilty of playing into it, she admitted. We knew the cameras were there. We knew certain things would get airtime and others wouldn't. But when I look back, the lie detector moment is one of those times where it was painfully obvious it was for show. Still, Alexis couldn't resist circling back to Slade. The thing about Slade is, he always managed to make himself central. Whether it was his comedy routine targeting housewives or him stepping into fights that weren't his, he was always right there. And honestly, that worked for him. People still talk about him, don't they? Even now, years later. Indeed, Slade remains a polarizing figure in Housewives history precisely because of his persistence. Few men on the show have been as consistently visible, and Alexis' claim that he rode Gretchen's coattails may resonate with those who felt his presence overshadowed her storylines at times. As for Alexis, her willingness to peel back the curtain years after leaving the show highlights her complicated relationship with her RHOC legacy. When I left, I needed space, she confessed. The scrutiny, the judgments, the pressure, it takes a toll. But now, I can look back with more clarity. I can see what was real, what was staged, and what was a mix of both. That's why I can say with confidence, that lie detector test wasn't the truth-telling moment people thought it was. It was TV. And Slade? Well, he was playing the game better than most of us realized. Her candidness has sparked a wave of nostalgia among fans who remember Alexis' tumultuous run on the show, her clashes with Tamra Judge, her complicated friendships, her dramatic exit. For many, Alexis' recent comments feel like the unfiltered commentary they never got while she was in the thick of it. In true Alexis fashion though, she ended on a reflective note. I don't hate Gretchen. I don't hate Slade. In fact, I wish them well. But people should know the truth. The reality we filmed wasn't always reality. And sometimes, the people you think are the most genuine are the ones playing the biggest game. With that, Alexis Bellino once again reminded fans why she remains one of the most memorable housewives in Orange County history. She doesn't just spill tea, she pours it out with conviction, unapologetically exposing the messy intersections of love, ambition, and reality TV. And in a franchise where truth and performance are always at war, Alexis' voice stands out as one unafraid to call things exactly as she sees them.